Welcome again, everyone. That's already our third session in the series Been There, Build That. I think you probably, if you attended the previous sessions, you remember me. I am Daria. I am CEO and co-founder of LeverUP and CX Solution Architect, still myself. And I am more than happy to have Marko with me today, because such people as Marko are actually the reason why the series is named Been There, Build That. That's actually what Marko is doing. He is digging thoroughly into every issue and applying his best knowledge hands-on. So Marko, please introduce yourself.
Thank you, Daria. Hello, everyone. My name is Marko Briški, and I've been working with Salesforce for 5 years now, and 3 to 4 years is now. This is my fourth year now in the LeverUP, and my main area of the, let's say, expertise is the MarTech technologies, meaning the Marketing Cloud and Personalization tool.
Thank you, Marko. So let's deep dive into our topic, which would be the sort of comparison. Oh, apologies. I think I started with the wrong slide already. But, all good. So our main topic is to compare Marketing Cloud Personalization with the new personalization tool, which is called Salesforce Personalization. So I guess there will be really a lot of time, as we say, the word personalization during today's live. But anyways, here is the quick agenda. What Salesforce offers to us across the years. We'll have a quick trip down the memory lane to recap all the tools that have been there and where this is all heading to. Then Marko prepared a quick technical recap and a comparison of MC Personalization and Salesforce Personalization. And then the most important part, considering the migration. If you are thinking about the migration, what you need to know, how you should prepare, and what are some red flags and what to look at. And then we will do the quick summary, and we will talk a little bit more from the business perspective. Is it already time to rush? When should you think about the migration, and migrate or not migrate, after all? If you are willing to be a little bit more interactive, please feel free to drop your answer in the comments. We just wanted to do a quick check and see how many of you are familiar with all the personalization tools that Salesforce offered us across the years. So feel free to drop your option in the comment. If not, it's okay. We will reveal the answer on the next slide. And the next question, how many of you remember how many names MC Personalization changed over the years? Okay, I see everyone is feeling a little bit shy today, which is totally fine. Okay, let's do a quick recap. So across the years, Salesforce is absolutely not a newcomer to personalization strategies of website and mobile experience. And all of the tools that were offered to the users started from the Thunderhead. Please, if that would be a live event, I would ask you to raise your hand. How many of you remember Thunderhead even? Then MC Personalization, and the newest one, Salesforce Personalization. So this is already the third version of the tool, and we have some clients we are working with who've been there starting from Thunderhead. And MC Personalization, the tool that most of you are using right now, changed 3 name versions starting from Evergage. It's, as many of you know, it's the tool that was built as Evergage and acquired by Salesforce and was renamed to Interaction Studio. Why I'm focusing on this now is because sometimes old names like Interaction Studio still pop up when we are talking. Okay, so Marko, I will hand it over to you for the brief overview. I will expand my screen a little bit.
Perfect. Thank you. So in the next 2 slides, I try to capture all the main things that we need to all the main points that we need to prepare in order to get the personalizations up and running, which is like the installment of the SDK on your web page and mapping the elements with the sitemap. And in that process, I figured that I'm doing the same thing twice, because the process of the starting with the personalization tools is basically mostly the same for the both personalization tools. with just some smaller differences in how the configuration works and how the things need to be prepared in order to get the full power of the personalizations. But there was one major detail that is different than the Marketing Cloud Personalization and Salesforce Personalization, and that is the data 360. Because the Salesforce Personalization cannot work without the data 360, and it relies on its data model to capture all the data and use it in the profile building.
Thanks a lot, Marko. And I will pause here for a second because Marko prepared the 2 slides with a bit more of content on them. So this is a quick recap of MC personalization. You can take the screenshot, or you can also request the presentation after the event, and the Salesforce personalization recap. So as Marko mentioned, and now that's where the most interesting and important part starts, the devil is in detail. And the most important detail to compare the both tools is actually data 360. And this is yet another tool that survived the renaming recently. And apologies, sometimes we will still be saying Data Cloud. So now Data Cloud is Data 360. And I assume that some of you might start leaving the session at this moment, but please don't, because the point is that if you are using Marketing Cloud and MC personalization and you are not using core products such as Data Cloud, unless you acquire those, your migration is basically not possible, because Salesforce personalization is an integral part of the Data Cloud. And this is the most important change and challenge that impacts quite a lot of steps during the migration, which we will cover later. The first part, I guess I will take this one, right, Marko?
Yeah, sure. I can jump in with the details about the
Thanks.
things.
As we now concluded, both tools, they are still delivering the same functionality, and they are still built with the same goal in mind, to personalize website and mobile experience. But the underlying logic, how the tools are working, this is what is different. And this underlying logic also causes quite a lot of changes in the terminology. So from my standpoint, what is important to remember if you will be considering the migration is that it will be a significant learning curve for your internal team. So certain things are completely new, although they still lead to the same outcome. The functionality is new in Salesforce personalization, and the terminology and the processes behind those are indeed new. So there are some examples, and I will ask Marko to jump in. I wonder, would you be able to guess what they might mean? For example, what exists in Salesforce personalization and not in MCP? Recommender, personalizer, and personalization point. I would be very interested to see whether you can connect it to the existing functionality, but I would let Marko to cover this.
Yeah. Okay. So to start off with the recommender, recommender is a type of a personalizer that's using machine learning processes to get the latest recommendation for products and items that you can show to the customers on your web page. So that would be similar to something like the Einstein or something like that in the Marketing Cloud Personalization. The personalizer is a service that runs in the runtime, and its main job is to complete the decision response from the Salesforce personalization. So when the template is being rendered, the personalizer contacts the recommender and tries to get the full data scope to work with on the web page. And the last, but the most important part of this is the personalization point, which is basically a location on a web page where you decide that the content will be personalized for the customer. And personalization point can have the 2 personalization types. So one of them is the recommendation, which utilizes the recommender and personalizer. And the other one is the manual content, which basically, as the name says, it's just some kind of a content that we decide to show to the person. And
Thanks
the
a lot.
decision, yeah.
Sorry, Marko.
Yeah, the last one was the personalization decision, which is just a set of rules that decides who gets to see what.
Thanks a lot. So from this, you can see that basically we are speaking about the same functionality, but in completely different terms. And this is, at least from my standpoint, is one probably of the main challenges, because your team has to embrace quite a lot of new processes and functionalities and terminologies. Data architecture. Now, again, we are back to the data cloud. And Marko, if you could cover this.
So in the means of the data architecture, I think, well, the Marketing Cloud Personalization lives inside its own data model, which is quite simpler than the Salesforce Personalization. And that data can or cannot be, can or should, you don't have to migrate it outside of the Marketing Cloud Personalization to some external platforms like Data Cloud or Marketing Cloud. While the Salesforce Personalization lives inside the Data 360 and uses the same data objects as the whole Data 360, and all of the data that's coming from the web page has to be mapped to the correct Data 360 objects in order to receive the most valuable results from the Data 360 unifying engines. So, yeah.
Thank you, and thanks, Marko. And that's the main also challenge here, is that previously, when MC personalization existed, was the source of truth for its own data and was not connected to data cloud. It might or might not be connected, right? And the data exchange might or might not happen. Then things are different now. And this puts, I would say, additional pressure on the internal and external team roles, both during the migration project and also during the ongoing campaigns and maintenance. What I mean here is that you all went through the implementation curve, and you remember the roles that were involved. That was definitely your marketing team. You also needed a developer. That was probably your external web agency involved, and there was marketing cloud consultant or expert, is it internal or external. So now on top of that, a person who has to be the integral part of the project is your data architect. So we would not recommend to proceed with the migration to Salesforce personalization without data 360 expert, either internal or external, to be involved, and not on partial basis, but that's really, there are parts in the projects where this role is absolutely crucial, because all the data, you don't have any choice here. All the data that's being generated by Salesforce personalization is getting automatically mapped and is becoming part of your data model. And you probably can understand that it's important to keep your customer profile integral, right? Okay. Now, that's where I don't have anything to say, and I will have to pass it completely to Marko. Marko, SDK, you mentioned both tools function similarly. You still need to take care about the SDKs, and are there any differences between the two tools?
Yes, so the SDK is stay the same, so it's the same JavaScript framework that is used to capture the web interactions of the customers from the web. The only thing now different in the Salesforce personalization is the enablement process. So you will have to create a website connector, which will be tied to your web page, and you will have to upload the event schema to define what events will be captured on the web and brought back to Data 360. So yes, alongside with that, we did a little research and came to a conclusion that during the migration process, there shouldn't be an issue of keeping of both SDKs up and running on the web page, since they came from a different source and they target the different endpoint. So yeah, there's not much of a difference here in the terms of the SDK, and yeah.
Yeah. So that's the last point is quite important, because in this context, we speak primarily about the migration and not the new implementation.
Yes.
And during the migration, there might be the situation when the both SDKs have to run on the website. So it's important to hear what you're saying, that they can be run in parallel, but that's definitely not something that we would recommend to keep in the long run, right? It's
Of
only.
course. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Now the sitemap. All of you probably remember this important stage during your MC implementation project. Now, Marko, what is the difference? Can sitemap be reused, or what is the difference between MC personalization sitemap and Salesforce personalization?
Yeah, so based on the documents I managed to read about the Salesforce personalization, the main difference is that the Salesforce personalization now uses the personalization library inside the framework. So probably some of the functions are new or different, but most of the sitemap is still the same as the Marketing Cloud Personalization. So I would say around 70 to 80% of the sitemap can be reused, but we always have to be careful to check if all the methods work properly inside the new personalization library. The one new thing that I saw are the transformers, which is the new part of the sitemap that didn't exist in the Marketing Cloud Personalization. And it's basically part of the code that utilizes the response from the decisioning API to deliver the dynamic HTML content for the customers. And the decisioning API is just the backend. It's a backend inside the SDK that decides what to show, what we can show to that customer. Alongside that, the sitemap has the ability to push the data to the custom engagement endpoints that need to be defined in the event schema that we talked about before. So most of the sitemap is still reusable, and I don't think the process is basically the same. So as you did your sitemap before, you can continue it now, but just be mindful of the new things that are presented in the personalization library.
As far as I understood correctly, now some of the functionalities that was sitting in the templates previously, now it's part of the personalization logic is moving to the sitemap. So this.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
And also, although the sitemap can be to a higher extent reused, there is still this auditing process that you need to keep in mind, and you need to allocate time to this. So copy pasting is not possible. Although, as Marko said, you won't need to prepare the completely new sitemap. The revision and the audit is very much needed, and you need to allocate some time for this. There are some, as far as I understand correctly, Marko, there are some new steps, and you already mentioned them, right? Website connector schema upload. So, this was primarily how the MC personalization project was developing, and now it looks different.
Yeah, so this is the part of the enablement that we talked about. So with the Marketing Cloud Personalization, so you just put the SDK on your web, and the sitemap get access to the SDK, and we map all the objects and prepare everything, and we are ready to go live with our first campaign. And now in the Salesforce Personalization, there are basically two extra steps. So after the SDK has been put to the web page, we need to make sure that our schema is ready, which also comes out of the box. I don't know if I mentioned that. And after the schema is ready, we need to connect the data 360 to our website, and then we go to our sitemap, finish all the mapping and preparement for that, and we are ready to go live.
Thank you, Marko. So there are two additional steps which are not overly complex, but schema upload is very important. It, as Marko mentioned, comes out of the box, but can also be customized. And the underlying work behind that is the proper incorporating Salesforce personalization data into your data architecture and data model. Now there is a part that maybe some of you is waiting for. At least we were getting those questions. AI functionality, and we all remember Einstein recipes and Einstein decisions in MCP, and some of you are using this quite extensively. So what's with this, and what happens when you move to Salesforce personalization? So first, as a quick recap, once again, it's important to remember that all the AI functionalities in MCP, they are limited by the data stored in MCP, right? You need to intentionally bring in more data than MCP generates. You need to create the streams, the data inputs, map into the attributes from Marketing Cloud, from Data Cloud. And in this case, this data will be available, but other than that, MCP is limited in what data it's using for the AI functionalities. And it's primarily it's rule based, so it's not goal oriented, and we will cover this in the next slide. The main difference now with the Salesforce personalization is that, of course, we all understand it sits in the data cloud, so Agentforce is also available. But Salesforce personalization generates recommendation based on a much wider set of data, basically all the data that is available in Data 360. It's great responsibility, right? It's great power, but also the great responsibility. So you understand that it's very important that you enable Salesforce personalization when your data cloud is, so to say, functional. And what I mentioned also on the previous slide, the AI recommendations can be rule-based, but they can be objective-based. And objective-based meaning you set your business targets. So not show the recommendations that are people of the same group are receiving, or other rule-based recommendations, right? But we need to make sure that the number of items in the checkout, in the number of items in the purchase is increasing, for example, or any other business targets. So this is the difference that Salesforce personalization offers you to set the objective-based recommendations. But the most important part here is that you are using MC personalization, you have trained your model, things are working and get going. So this is what will change. It's not possible to migrate your current learning from MC personalization to the new setup. In Salesforce personalization, the model will start training from scratch. So what consequences this will have to your particular situation? The deep dive is needed, of course, but basically the learning curve for the model will switch from the data that is in your MCP to the whole data that is available in the data cloud. And this will indeed have an impact on the output, on the recommendations. Let me quickly check if there are any questions coming. And I need to apologize. It seems that the questions and comments for me are coming a bit later than you're posting them. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. Thank you. So far, so good. So because we are gradually coming to the end of the presentation, there will be time for the questions. If you have any, please feel free to post them in the comments section. Overall, I know that we've thrown at you quite a lot of technical details, but the main question remain what to do and whether migrate or not migrate yet to Salesforce personalization. I would say that there is no rush because no announcements on MCP future were made, and we all know this, right? The only situation when you need to consider the migration is how it fits your business, not because of the rush, because there are no announcements on retirement. And the data cloud, as we talked about with Marko earlier, Data 360 and its readiness is the most crucial point here. If you do not have yet data cloud, so what is your roadmap? Salesforce personalization migration has to be integral part of this roadmap, and we would not recommend to get on board Data 360 just because you would want to enable this functionality. First, there has to be the proper roadmap and the proper data architecture planned, and the streams from Salesforce personalization, they have to be properly mapped to it. If you already have data cloud in place, what is your current stage of implementation and usability? And being honest, we see quite a lot of clients who do have data cloud, but it's not serving yet as their source of truth for their customer data. There's quite a lot of data still stays aside in your Databricks, in your AWS or whatnot, but it's not been properly mapped to data cloud. In this case, because Salesforce personalization relies on the customer data in your data cloud, you need to make sure that it's there, right? To make sure that the recommendations are meaningful. So it's important to evaluate where you are heading to with your data cloud and what would be the next steps, and revisit what is in the customer profile. Now, your team's resources situation. As we mentioned earlier, there is quite a significant learning curve. So the functionality is the same, but the learning curve of how you do the same familiar things, this is being different. So do you have the bandwidth? Does the team have the bandwidth to learn and absorb new things? This is something that also has to be carefully planned. And one thing where we would not be able to help you, but your Salesforce AE probably can, and it's also important point, how does your post-migration budget look like? Because at the moment, MC personalization is a separate SKU in your bills, and how it will impact, how the price will change when Salesforce personalization, when it's part of the data cloud. This is a topic that it might have quite a lot of weight in your decision-making process, and it's important to touch base on this as well. So in short, it is indeed a project, right? And Salesforce personalization offers us quite a lot of exciting possibilities being part of the data cloud. But it's important to evaluate your resources. And at the moment, I would say there is no rush. And how your data cloud plans looks like, that's the most crucial point in the decision making. Marko, do you have anything to add here?
No, not really. I think you covered it pretty well and thoroughly. So yeah.
Thank you too, Marko. We are on time, so if there are any questions, please feel free to send them in the comments. We have the team member looking out for them, or reach out later to us if the questions will pop up later.